Alright, going live now. So, I'm going to turn on some music already. There we go. Turn down the volume a bit. There we go. Posting the comment, pinned comment. If anyone has questions, you can tag me and I can see it more easily. So, welcome everyone. So this is the third stream now for the shading of snow. So last time I kind of left off at shading the shirt, adding normal maps, doing some stuff with the UVs, and doing also a little bit of an improvement with adding some details that are not actually there in the model. So there's still a little bit of stuff that I want to add to this. But in general, the shirt is already pretty far ahead. Mainly the things I want to add is these little dark highlights over here. I want to have them on the rest of the seams as well. And I would like to add just a little bit of wrinkles to it. Just smaller detail, but overall should be pretty much like this. And then I'm gonna basically do the same for the pants over here, with the only difference that one is going to have a different material, different textures. It's gonna look a bit more like denim, and with that it's also going to have visible stitches. So that's something I want to do. And then eventually there's plenty of to-dos, like the shading on the eyes, the inner mouth, all of the good stuff. And then at the end I would wrap it up with the hair. But I'll just see how far I can go. I'll just focus on the shirt again. So let's just make the UVs over here a bit smaller. I don't need them. As of right now, all of this looks kind of good. I made this mask for the dark areas, the creases. Please no spamming. Okay. Oh my god. And there's also this procedural mask. This is all just derived from one of the UV maps over here, which gives me like a clear direction where to create these masks from. And hold on. Okay, hold on. Sorry. There we go. I already see a first question. Are you going to use UDIMs for texturing? I do, yes. Not necessarily for the clothing, but I did already start using UDIMs. Or at least setting up UDIMs. UDIM UVs over here. For, I mean, there were already some live streams on UDIM, on setting up these UDIMs for the body. And eventually I would like to add some extra texture painting on top, which is going to come really in handy. But okay. One of the things that are going to haunt me for a bit is that I never retopologized this in the really correct way, that the seam would go along here. Instead it's kind of like going along here. It's not that great, but to be honest, I can live with it. Now though, I have a bunch of UV maps over here. So I got this one over here, which is for the collar and the sleeves. It's adding some fake seams and little patches. But then there's also other ones, and I would like to use those to create some more detail. Let's see. So I got these two color patches. Hold on. At some point I would also need to clean this up, because nodes tend to become really busy, and making this look good is gonna be a bit tricky. Ah, this is where I wanted to do that. There we go. Okay, so this is basically the node where I'm multiplying this little crease on top. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna, with Alt-P, oh, by the way, I'm gonna turn on screencast keys so you can see what shortcuts I'm pressing. I would like to make a new node group over here. And I'm gonna call this one seams. And for this I already have these guys over here. Oh, actually let me turn down the size of this thing. It's actually kind of insane. Also, toolbar. There we go. Now it's more on the side. Okay. I'm actually going to select these guys, these little nodes over here, which is a UV map, and I'm going to use a different one. I'm going to use the seams 1. I'm actually going to rename these, but I also need to check them out. Like, how does this one look like? So, because I have two UV maps for the seams, one for the horizontal seams and one for the vertical seams. Verticals are not yet done. And these also still need some work. Well, I will get to that. Actually, maybe I should just keep this as seams 1 and seams 2, because it's not uniformly horizontal or vertical. It's just two directions that are crossing each other sometimes, and I would like to have that in there. There we go. Let's see. It's actually getting kind of hard to see. Maybe wireframes can help a little bit. Okay. Now let's actually see. I got this first UV map on seams. Right now it's really just one thing, and it's the collar. The thing is, I don't need the collar. I already have some seams placed there. What I'm actually more interested in are, oh Jesus, are the sleeves. Well. Okay, that's actually... There's something going on with the UV unwrap, with the auto unwrap. Ah, there we go. That's it. Okay. Let's see. So I want, like, there's a clear split in the pattern over here, and I would like to highlight this crease. It's like the seam. So I would need this one, which is going all the way across over here. That's gonna be for the first UV map. That's pretty much it. That's gonna be the first test. And then there's a second UV map for the pattern that is crossing it. This one. And this one on top over here as well. And it's basically everything I need for that. So, yeah, this first UV map, it's really just about these two over here. Now, these seem to be the pinned ones. Let's see. So these seem to be the loops that I need to pin. Now I can rotate this, Shift W on this loop and align auto, and it's just going to snap it to one axis. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Align auto. Can select these two islands and use basically average island scale. I added a shortcut to it, Control A, just so they have the same size, and I can just make sure that they are exactly on the same height. Right there. Oh, there we go. Now I just want to preview this. It looks pretty good. So that's kind of where I want it to be. Kind of like this. Yes. Over here. There's a bit of a distortion over here. But I'm actually going to change the UV smoothing on the subdivision surface modifier to keep corners instead of keep boundaries. I just find it to be more accurate. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm not sure. But that's at least that's what I was able to tell from it. Okay, so now I'm gonna pin these guys as well, and I'll just scale them down a bit more along the y-axis. There we go. Actually, only the... I'm gonna unpin all of them. I'm just gonna pin the endpoints over here. Pin them. And I want to scale them along the y-axis so they meet up. Scale them to 0. There we go. They meet up. So that kind of works already. Now I just need to add a color, mix RGB, and I'm gonna mix these two guys together. Just by doing an add. And there we go. Mix together. I'm gonna put this one in here. And I can just replace this one entirely. Okay. This seems to be this one seems to be thicker. So I need to change that. I would like to hold on. Also, sorry, I'm neglecting the chat a bit. Have there been any more questions? Hello, using seams in Smart UV Project, is that a viable way to UV unwrap something? Or is it temporary, like the remesh option? Also nice here. Thank you. Smart UV Project is something I rarely use. Sometimes I use it on UVs where I don't care too much about where seams are. They seem sometimes like it gives you an okay result. Depends on what you want to do. Usually, like times where I use it is if I have a sculpt or like maybe like a model that I have decimated, and I just want some quick and dirty UVs. I'm gonna use a Smart UV Project, and that's just at least gonna give me something. And then I could maybe bake something on top of it, like some textures. There's another question. What is your opinion on RenderMan now supporting Blender? I don't really have an opinion, to be honest, because I have never used RenderMan. Sorry if that is a bit disappointing. Let's see. I need to make this... No, I shouldn't make this thinner. What am I doing? Actually, what I should do is I should mix these all together in the end. So there's gonna be a math node, and these two, I'm just gonna add them. Well, actually multiply. Well, I guess not. Yeah, that's just gonna make things messy. Actually, let me get rid of that. And even though these two are using the same settings, I'll just let it be like that. Okay, now I can select these UVs. Actually, set the cursor over here, and I'm gonna make the cursor the pivot point. And then I can scale this up and down. And I can scale it up so that it has the same thickness as the other ones. There we go. Like that. And then if I look at this over here, or, I mean, in the shader, I can see the result. I have this extra crease added here. I think one thing that I would change is I would actually misplace it a bit more. So that this like center line over here is exactly on the seam. Kinda like that, I guess. Or I mean, what I could also do is just, I could move the UVs. That's a bit easier than punching in numbers. Kinda like that. I think this might actually make it not visible anymore. No, it's still working. Kinda like that. But that suddenly creates a new problem. I need to actually unwrap this part over here. So wait, I'm gonna select these two. Okay, just that loop in the middle, actually. And I'm going to grow the selection because I synced my settings. Damn it. Usually I'm not working on this computer, so I have a bit of a messed up key map. So Control plus, like that. Okay. Okay, these parts I want to have unwrapped. So I'm gonna unpin them. I'm gonna unwrap them like that. I think, yeah, these are the loops. I will pin these. Hold on, I can make, where is it? There's an operator for making seams from islands. There we go. So I select these and go UV, not average island scale. Where is it? Seams from islands. There we go. Now I can move this around. It actually works. Yep. Perfect. There's some more questions. How much time will it take to make a video like Blender Studio? I'm not sure what kind of video you mean. Any tips on ZBrush Blender workflow? Well, I mean, it's been a while since I've used it, but the thing that I've been using was an add-on called GoB. It's like a similar plugin than just GoZ in ZBrush. And it's basically just a bridge between the two softwares to immediately import and export objects. But I'm not sure how well that is maintained. I think there were some issues with it, but I would need to look that up. Ah, damn it. Some of these things with UV syncing should be fixed at some point. But I can at least rotate some of this stuff. Like that. Selecting this, setting a 3D cursor as a pivot, and then just... And now it's like kind of aligned, and I can just select this, Shift W, align, Shift W, align auto. And there we go. If I now unhide the rest, I can align this with those parts as well. But first, I actually want to try out an add-on. I downloaded TexTools again, which for some reason is not enabled. Hold on. So TexTools. There we go. I'm going to save preferences. I'm actually in the wrong workspace. There we go. So, because in TexTools there's something I like to use, and that is to pick textile density. So I can like let's just select this one, pick. Now that's the textile density over here. And now I can select this one and apply it. And now these should basically have the same size. The UVs, I mean. That's gonna help a lot. And now I just need to align them properly. Like that. Okay. There we go. Going back to the UV editor. Okay, I can select these two. Select all of this. Now I just need to align it real quick. So if I just move them along the y-axis a little bit, you can see the effect that this has. And if I look at it and shade it, that's it. Perfect. Kind of. Now, can I align this better over here? Yes, I can. It's subtle, but this really helps. There's some more questions. Wireframe node is broken. Do you care about it or like not? If so, how do you get abide it? Well, yeah, I don't really use the wireframe node for obvious reasons because it's tessellating. Giving you a tessellated result. I do a bit of a trick with UV maps, where if you if you select all of your UVs, like if I just make a new UV map over here, and I just and say reset. Every single face in the UV map is just going to completely take up all of the UV space. So then you could use those coordinates to define a wireframe. Basically the same way how, like, I can just quickly show this, essentially. Like, I can just select the UV map over here, and you can already see it's giving you a coordinate over here from each individual face from both sides. So if you then add in a converter, a math node over here, and say greater than, you can define a sort of like width over here and one over here. And then if you go again with a math node and just say multiply these together, you already have parts of the puzzle. You also need a lesser than. Hold on. And I hope I can do this quickly enough, but I think it makes sense to show. almost done. Oops. So you get kind of the wireframes from one side and then wireframes from the other side. Hold on. Then you invert them? I actually forgot how to invert. Screw it. Invert node. This is not how you do it. Well, but yeah, you kind of get the idea that, like, hopefully, I don't know. I'm not sure. So this is 0.04. So if I say 1 minus 0.04, then I have the other side. So if I now whatever, multiply. I'm spending too much time on this. I would need to figure this out in more detail. I had a node group on this. God damn it. Well, this should be add. And then, yeah, there we go. That's usually how I do wireframes. So by making a UV map where all the faces are reset, and then I could, for example, also just, well, define a certain thickness for the wires. The problem with this method is that the thickness of the wires is dependent on the resolution, on the density of the faces, because it's based on the UVs. But I find this to be more appealing and reliable. Let's actually get rid of this. Or at least I'm gonna bring it back for a short moment, maybe. Well, it's not possible, so damn it, undo doesn't work. There's another comment: to solve your problem in your last stream you could have used the script Simon made that mainly involves vertex painting. I might go into detail about the script. It basically adds the functionality to paint vertex maps in 3 different colors without having to pick the exact color, and also save some slots. Ooh. Yes, I should maybe do that from time to time, because black and white maps are nice, but there is the possibility to have more range, like more masks in one vertex, like vertex color slot. Anyway. Now, there's still one part missing, which is why I made a second UV map over here called Seams 2. And that is that I want, well, actually, let's alt pin these. I'm gonna get rid of all of the seams. Actually, not all of them. I want to select the ones I want to keep. Mark seam. Like these ones. Select all the other ones, clear seam. Like that. That makes sense. Oh well, actually, I don't have it on the other side, so I should select one of the seams, Shift G, select similar, seam, and then, hold on, mirror selection, select mirror. and mark seam. Oh, didn't quite work because it's not fully symmetrical, but part of it was. Now it's working. Okay, now I would like to select these seams actually and grow the selection. So I'm gonna make this full screen for a moment. So select more. I'm gonna repeat that a couple times actually, like that. Okay, perfect. And then from this, I'm gonna say UV, wait, unwrap. So now these are unwrapped, what I have selected. And then I can say UV and seams from UV islands, and now I actually have these properly seamed. Perfect. Now what I need to do is I need to select these guys over here. I want these to be the, just like with the other UV map, the straight parts. So I'm gonna pin these. Now that should kind of work. There we go. Control A, I'm gonna rotate all of these 90 degrees. $180, like that. And I just need to basically auto align these. I think they're straight enough. I wish it would auto align all of these individually if I would select them, but it doesn't. Now I can already kind of preview this, I guess, over here. So if I would move this down, yeah, there we can see it. So there we go. I can just move these all on top of another. I'm gonna full screen the UV editor just to be able to do this a bit quickly. There we go. Just gonna get all of these a bit closer. Actually, I think this is good. So let's move all of these down and see where they finally meet up with the correct point. Nowhere. Oh, I should preview this. There we go. That's the spot. Okay, now I just need to preview it over here and I will be able to see exactly where all of this happens. Oh, of course. Still using the wrong node for the normal map. this one. In the normal map I can see it more easily where that spot actually is. There we go. Now the seam is right there. Hold on. What is going on over here? Strange. Oh. What is this? Yeah, I don't want this. I don't really understand this hole right there. This is weird. Oh, maybe it's because that is actually where these two are crossing, and that's creating, yeah, some weird pattern over here. Well, I could live with that. Interesting. What if I enable clamping? Maybe that won't really help. Oh, there's also a different issue. Well, it's kind of unrelated, but it's a similar thing to what I had before that as well. This is what makes it go off. No, it's actually not. What is creating this effect? Interesting. Ha! Well, are there any more questions? Can we use Blender for making models for games? Sure. I think TexTools messes up your undos. Be careful. Ooh, good to know. Any good free resources to learn Blender texturing? That's a good question. I need to actually, like, I would need to check that out more, because one of the strong points in texturing with Blender is fully embracing the node system, and then you quickly delve into a shading tutorial. So I wonder if there's any really good texturing tutorials. Man, this is kind of strange. I'm not exactly understanding where this behavior is coming from. Yeah, it is very much due to wait. That's strange. Okay. Yeah, it is pretty much because this is being multiplied on top. Not quite sure how to resolve that. Doesn't cause a problem with Well, some of this is a bit new to me because I don't usually add seams like that or cross them like that. So what I could actually do is I could separate these two a bit more. So that they don't quite interact. Okay, so I got this one and I got this one. Both of these are... Oh wait, oops. Okay, so I got the... like these two lines and I put them into the power node individually. I could multiply this over here, and I could multiply this again with this. Oops, factor. And now I avoid the issue. There we go. Just by handling these separately. I see a question. For the seam, should you not use the lighten blending method? Lighten? Not sure why. I wanted to kind of be a crease that goes inwards, implying a bit of shadow is pretty much what I want in that case. Although in this case, like, some of it is also not exactly like how it should be. Like here it's like crossing it, there's like a cross section over here, and both directions have the same sort of importance, whereas usually you would have like, I don't know, like this piece over here is overlapping this one, and then these individually have like their own seam around here. So it's maybe something that I should also put in here. Maybe that could be easy to add. Wow. It's actually kind of tricky, to be honest, thinking about that. Because I didn't make the normal maps that way. I could like try to raise this whole patch over here of cloth. But to be honest, I think it's fine for now. I might find another solution for that. But it's like the most important stuff taken care of. I'm gonna quickly go over here and say diffuse color. It's basically how I want it to look like. Perfect. Subtle, but it works. And let's see. Some weird stretching going on over here in the UV map. And I would like to try to get rid of that. Let's see. So there's this part over here. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna, I wish the seams would be kind of tied to the UV map. It's because I need to now get rid of all of the seams. For that I need to disable live unwrap for a moment. Oh. Control E, clear seams, select all of this, and oh wait. UV and then seams from UV islands. Now it's looking correct again. Now if I enable live UV unwrap again, it should work all fine. So if I just move one of these points, yeah, it's actually not messing anything up. Or I think it does. Oops. That's not correct. Okay. Well. Let's see. Yeah, the UVs could be better here. It's causing quite a bit of stretching. Not sure why this is having a seam. Let's see. There we go. There's a bit of overlap over here. That's not good. I think this is starting to look a bit better. Except for that part over here. Wow. Could maybe use the UV sculpting brush a little bit. And just move one of these points. That did something, but not quite what I was going for. I shouldn't obsess over this. I think overall it looks fine. I'm gonna quickly go to my references over here. Because yes, this sort of thing over here, like this overlap, is something that I would like to imply a bit more. I think that would be nice. But I don't think I can do that procedurally that much. And for that, I would actually like to add a bit of texture painting to this. So let's actually add an image texture. And well, I don't have any naming conventions on this thing yet, I think. It's all kind of random. But I'm still gonna just call this text for texture. And then shirt wrinkles. And I'm gonna make this, let's actually make it a 2K texture for now. No alpha. I'm gonna just make this 5, I think. And then 32-bit float. Okay. Control T, clicking on it just to get the UV coordinates. And I think I don't need it to be 32-bit. I think I can downgrade it to something smaller. But that's something I actually would need to find somewhere. Text. Shirt wrinkles. Actually gonna call it shirt snow dot underscore shirt wrinkles. Let's see. Image. No, I can't really find the settings, but I do remember there being a setting to change it from 32-bit to 16-bit. Well, I'm gonna find it out at some point, but I want to use this to paint the normal a bit more. So I'm gonna just quickly replace which normal node I'm using here, just to test this for a moment. So if I can now go in here and I go to, go to texture paint mode, and I start painting on this. Yes. Well, first I need to kind of be able to see. Okay, I see a result. So you can see that if I paint on this, actually adding a bit of bump information. Not a lot though. Well. Also, I want to change the sampling in the viewport for Eevee to 1. What that generally does, it's gonna create a more immediate feedback, which is just more useful. Now, I want to add this on top. Let's see. How does this look? Doesn't drown out the detail. Perfect. So you can see I can actually paint in a bit of a normal map. And that's basically as much as I need. So now if I go to this, plug this into the normal, I should be able to see the result. There we go. It still looks kind of weird though. Why is that? What's going on over here? Yep, I should actually disable TexTools again. It does actually mess up the undo stack. I also see some questions that I missed. At the very start of the video, why would you need a separate horizontal and vertical seam thing? Wouldn't it be possible to use the U or the V coordinate respectively? It's actually a good point. I think I could set it up like that. Only that... Yes... I think it's actually possible, yeah. If I pin the edges of the UVs right and snap them to a vertical line in the UV map that is consistent and a horizontal line that is consistent, then I could do it with one. It's actually a good point. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Let's see. Two, 1, 404. Does that actually work? some of this stuff is something that I need to figure out again. Okay, this seems to be a bit of a mystery to me right now. I'm gonna try a bit of a different approach. I think Peter is onto something. That's maybe the better way to do it. Instead of figuring out how to ideally mix the colors in a way that they don't fight each other, I could just use 2 bump nodes and then mix the vectors. That would be better. Let's see. What is actually the best way of mixing vectors? Mix RGB is a terrible choice. The math node kind of works, but only for single values. So what I could also do is I could separate the vector into 3 values and then do that. Wow. Yeah. Hold on. I'm actually gonna group this. No, hold on. Alt-G. Alt-G. Control Alt-G. There we go. And then combine XYZ. There we go. I could just make a node group out of this, so I can keep this a bit simple. I see some comments. I've been watching these live streams from the start. Do people actually put this much attention to detail in huge time bound productions? Also, great work, by the way. How did you manage to UV the colors? So, UV the colors. Hold on, the first one. Not necessarily, but also, this is, I know that if Simon would work on this, would do this in an instant. I wanted to use this as a bit of an opportunity to try out some procedural shading as well. So I'm not very proficient with this, but it's true that in a production environment, so you're going for the fastest option that is going to give you the result that is good enough. So what I'm doing right now is not quite as efficient. That doesn't mean that the method is bad. It's really just that I'm building this from the ground up, which is just super slow. The ideal scenario is that some of this would be to, like, hold on. The ideal scenario is that some of these node groups and setups would already be existing, so you can just copy paste a lot of this, like really make this workflow efficient. That's not what I'm doing. Hold on. I also see some more comments. Converter, vector, math, add. Add might make more sense, to be honest. I think you're right. But one of the things that I'm actually not really sure about right now is why is mix RGB not good for vectors? I mean, the main reason that comes to my mind is because it would clamp the colors, but there's a clamp option over here, so maybe it doesn't do it by default. Yeah, actually, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna use the math nodes right now. So just math, add the two x values together. Same thing for the y. Actually, I should. What was the modifier keys for the node wrangler? Control Shift, not Control Alt, Shift Alt. Kinda. There was a better one. Alt. Not quite. hold on, I'm gonna test this. So I think I'm messing with some things that I don't fully understand. It's gonna cause some problems because if I try to mix vectors, it's gonna make them, it's gonna make the overall pattern less strong. Just maybe okay. Vector math. Converter, vector math. Okay, that's the one. I was actually not aware that this node existed. Okay, so this is basically at maximum strength. There we go. So I got the pattern like that. And now should be able to, this is a lot of time investment for something actually quite simple that I want to do, but it's gonna be worth it in the end, I think. Like I said, this is not like to some degree it's there are some aspects where I'm a little bit rusty and other things where I'm just not quite used to doing a procedural workflow like this. So I need to find my bearings. Okay, now if I paint on this, will it show up? Kind of. Very weak. But good enough. Now I just need to set the right fall off. Actually, I want to set this to sharp, like that. And then did I actually use accumulate? Yeah, I think so. And then you can see what's happening. It's basically what I wanted to do. Like that. Now I can basically paint in some simple wrinkles. But for that I'm just gonna use this normal map for now. Just to see what happens. Also, I'm gonna remove the base color for a moment. Does this? Nice. Yeah, I want to set the bleed to 8 pixels. It's gonna make this a bit easier. Okay. So this is already kind of working. And of course, if I mix this together, it's gonna look a bit better. Is there... Wait, there are some more questions in the chat I should check. Can you show the Eevee version? This is Eevee. I could maybe try out the cycles version, to be honest. So if I go to rendered, it should show cycles. Oh boy, that doesn't look correct. Why is it so glossy? Can't be. It is because of the normal. How is that happening? Well, that's something I need to research. Yes, that is quite strange. It's only once I mix the vectors that this happens. Wow. That is so bizarre. Okay. Well, that's not great. Still, in theory, this is still kind of okay. I can just keep going. And I actually have X-Mirror enabled. Perfect. See, how well does this work? Some more comments, I think. Can you please give a brief overview of the node tree which you have created? Would be a huge help. I'm gonna do that in a moment. Try adding a vector math node. Normalize after your vector math to add. Thank you, I'm gonna try that. Oh boy. I just went way up in the chat. Save the texture over here. So vector math and then normalize. I guess for Eevee that wouldn't do anything. Yep, it doesn't do anything for Eevee. But for cycles, it should fix the problem. It does. Nice. Well, let's see. Yep, finally they both look basically identical. actually gonna create a color palette, just a really simple one. Just so I can quickly pick the values that I'm painting the normal map with. There we go. Like that. I want to keep a lot of this a bit subtle, so I'll try not to overdo it. Actually, this is going a bit against what I had planned. I don't want to enhance any of these wrinkles through the shader. I just want to add like these subtle differences through the folds and the seams. Just small stuff that adds a bit more dimension to it. Like that. That should really help a lot. But it shouldn't be just a plus to everything that I've already modeled in. Just anything that I'm adding on top, like these guys. Kind of like that. Hold on. I'm actually gonna connect this back. I wonder if the blurring actually works. I think it's too high res for that. It's one of the things that, just as in basic functionality, is lacking in texture paint. I wish I could blur this. Oh well. I don't need it that much. But yeah, that's basically that. I should actually look back at my reference for a moment. Well, I wish I would have picked some stuff that shows the the seams a bit more from the sides, but I think that is, it's essentially getting where I want it to be, so I'm fine with that. Kind of like that. Yeah, from the sides and so on, I'm not quite sure. I don't want to add this much wrinkles. This was not the intention. Just wanted to add a little bit. So I think these might actually be too strong. But I'm basically going to use that method again later on. To be honest, I actually lost something in the retopology process, which was this crease over here. I want to move this back in. Wait, I'm gonna undo that. I did already some other very light model changes before this. I kinda all have it as a shape key just in case. I don't want to, like, this is not that typical anyway. No way. No way. When doing this via shape keys, it's actually not adjusting the UVs. Well, actually that makes sense. Okay, and I'm not gonna do it with with shape keys. I'm actually just gonna model it in. Screw it. Because I want that V-neck shape. It is definitely something I didn't want to miss. Okay. I should continue with other aspects because I was already spending a lot of time on this. And to be honest, for very minimal gain, I think I might just tweak this again at some point. But I like these little details. Just having that in the normal map should be good. Okay. Then I could just as well move on to the pants. And for those, I would like to pretty much copy this entire setup. Although this is getting a bit messy. It's still somewhat comprehensive, I think. It's like this is the where the normal map gets mixed together. This the roughness. This is the diffuse, and it's just using a lot of the same influences. So I think this is still pretty good. But yeah, essentially in terms of the node setup, someone wanted a bit of an overview. So I'm using some textures from CC0 websites. I mentioned some recommendations last time in the live stream. It's CG Bookcase, Polyhaven, and another one I forgot right now. But essentially, the baseline is really just taking some of these like textures over here, where I have two of them. It's the diffuse and the roughness, which is just this simple repeating pattern. I map it to two different UV maps. so that I can, like, this is basically just the main one. And then with this one, I just made a darker pattern for the sleeves, which if I use a different UV map over here, I was able to kind of like get a sort of, where is it? Yeah, sort of like a gradient over here to define where I want to switch these to. And then like a bunch of other stuff. I go more in detail over it in the other live stream. But the main, most of it is pretty standard, except for using UV map coordinates to define certain surfaces in the shader to have a different color or use a different texture. And that's something I really wanted to try out. And then down here, I also painted a little texture over here, 32-bit. Plug that into a bump node, and then mix that together with the already existing bump map over here. Added that with vector math, and then normalized it so that it also works in cycles, and then put it back together. And that's essentially the same setup that I'm gonna do for this one over here. I know what to texture paint on top over here though. And I would like to do that real quick. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. Just want some really kind of subtle... Hold on. Differences over here along the seam. Yeah, that's not quite looking correct. I mean, one of the default, like the standard ways of getting this detail in here is to actually sculpt it and then bake it down to a displacement map. But you can also just as well paint it in. It has some upsides and downsides. Yeah, main upside is a more non-destructive workflow. One of the major downsides is that you're kind of constrained to... Hold on. You're constrained to the texture itself, which has like a limit in height and a limit in depth. Once you reach that, you're gonna notice some visible clipping. Wow. Can I like soften that, blur that a bit? I hope so. That's why the blur brush would be really nice. It would be the equivalent of smoothing your geometry when sculpting. And it would help a lot right now over here. Instead, what I'm doing a lot is just kind of going over it with the like the neutral color, just 50% gray. And if I just paint over the texture with that, I get it to kind of like, it almost has the effect of smoothing because it's just flattening it. Right. It's sorry if this is like a bit unfocused, but I'm just basically experimenting a bit. I think I'm gonna turn this into a sharp fall off. And then if I sculpt over this, I can essentially add some sharp creases. Does it actually work? It's actually not going that deep. Yeah. I think I should also try out some different lighting setups from time to time. That would help. Oh, this one is pretty strong. Has a nice backlight. There's some more comments. If I saw right now your 32-bit texture is still set to sRGB, you want to make that linear and use it as a linear RGB, no color data. Yeah, I was looking at that, and I'm not sure why why the option is grayed out. It's a bit sad. Wait, it's no longer grayed out. Finally, okay. So I can now set it to non-color or linear, which is gonna get me some better results. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for the reminder. This is already helping a lot. Okay. Just a little bit of randomness over here on the sides. That should already help a bit. I just wish I could blur it afterwards, because going over this with some random brush strokes is not helping sometimes. Using the wrong color. Anyway, there's more comments. Looking amazing. I hope you had some vacation, seeing you do this every Thursday. Are you specialized in character creation, or do you also do things like environments? I pretty much do a bit of everything. Although during the Sprite Fright production, I was mainly focused on characters for the longest time. I have been working a lot on sets recently. Sets and props. So there's a bit of everything. And yeah, some vacation is definitely something I want to take soon. Just got my second shot today, so I can finally leave the country soon again. Go home a bit. See some places maybe. I don't know. There's so much to catch up on. Especially once the production is done, there's a bit more time. There we go. Okay, I want to blur that. Can I? May I? Okay, I'm actually gonna switch to solid mode over here. Oh, why is X-ray enabled? Okay, I really want to blur this, but blurring is just so slow. Some more questions. Got any pro tips on how to sculpt paint folds in cloth? In what direction should the folds flow and stuff? Ooh, that's a tricky one. I mean, in the case of this character right now, I'm really not focusing too much on the folds. If anything, smaller wrinkles. I should not get too much into detail. Oh, damn it! Something changed. Now that I set it to linear, it's actually a different default color. I should fix that. Hold on, flat. That's the one. Sorry about that. I'm actually gonna add that to the palette, because then I can just fix some of this stuff a bit. I was wondering why there was something wrong. It seemed like it. But yeah, there must be like some really good tutorials online on the theory of folds, just how to do it better. Sculpting or painting realistic folds is not easy. I have incredible respect for anyone who can pull that off. I think the best tip, and it's the kind of the most boring one here that you hear all the time, is just to have a lot of good references. That's basically how I get through that process. If I can see good looking cloth, I can more easily sculpt it. Okay. So this is already helping here quite a bit. If I zoom out, you can see that extra definition, and it does add a lot to it. Now that if I add, where is it? If I bring back the other detail, it blends in a bit more. But I should reduce. Oh, wow. This a bit. Why is it so strong over here, but yet here it's just going really down? I guess because of the Yeah, it is just gonna half the strength on this thing, so I'm just gonna increase it even more. Yeah, that's better, I think. Let's see. Bring this one back. Yeah, I don't want to have it too strong, but it should at least blend in very nicely. I think it does. The comparison should show it. But if I switch back and forth between these, yeah, that's the difference that I've been painting in. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the jeans. In like a more production environment, I would actually like to, I would love to prepare some brushes for this. Maybe some textures that I can use already for the folds. This was really just hastily painted in, but it kind of works. So, can I copy this entire node setup and paste it in here? Yes, I can. Now, I just need to, I mean, I have this same setup now over here, and I just need to make sure that everything matches up. So some of this needs to be rebuilt, others might be more good to go. I'm actually gonna switch back to Eevee over here and increase the sampling again. Let's see, I actually want to go to cycles rendered for a moment. I think this is actually looking kind of nice. I could refine it more, but it already has infinitely more attention to detail in a subtle way, though, than I did for Rain. So let's continue with these guys. Okay, I think I can completely remove one of these patterns. Like this one. This one can just go away. The roughness can just go away for now. Okay, hold on. I think I'm actually gonna open this up right now. If I go to my repository, I actually have some textures over here that I could throw in. I think this is the one I wanted to use. Actually gonna throw all of these in. Try them out. Let's see. Okay. one thing I actually need to do is I need to properly map them. So let's actually add a vector, input UV map, and use the right UV map for the job. And then I can tile this a bit more, like that. And I already get the base pattern that I want. That's good. Oh man. I definitely envy Simon's workflow of just being able to completely create these textures from scratch, because when you use image, like photo-based textures, they come with a lot of, or just any texture online, they usually come with a lot of extra noise and grunge and some stuff that you just don't necessarily want to have in there. Yeah, this sort of stuff. It's supposed to be the height map? Really? Okay. Anyway, I can just put this into a hue saturation value. That was a gamma. There we go. Oops, of course. There's no color in it. I'm actually gonna put a color ramp in it. There we go. Because then I can get some of that original color back in there. Like that. Not as much saturation. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of how grungy this texture looks. I like the base pattern, but I'm gonna maybe try out one of the other textures that I downloaded. I'm also kind of running short on time, so one of the things that I could maybe prepare for next week is actually make a little procedural setup, or maybe steal one from Simon. Some of the notes that he's created, just to be able to get exactly the patterns that I want. Wow, yeah, that's it's not at all what I want, but I kind of copied this for this strip over here. If I could separate the detail in the texture, I could use this and add it really subtly next time. Yeah, I think this was my original choice, but this is even worse. It's even grungier. Yeah, it's even worse. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much gonna leave it at this for now. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna make the color a bit darker. Something similar to this. I'm gonna figure it out more next time. I like how this looks. I love this texture. Although that one also had some stuff already baked in. But yes, I'll leave it at this. And hopefully there will be a bit more progress next time. But thank you very much for joining. And have a wonderful rest of the week and a weekend. See you around.